It's great to be in the SEC. Thanks for tuning in to the SEC Recap. Got a little bit different show for you this week. I got the boys together and we just talked a little Week 5 recap, look ahead at Week 6, preview the games, go through our games of the week, kind of rolling both weekly episodes into one longer episode this week. So don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on Twitter at SEC Recap. Hope you enjoy this show. It was a lot of fun for us. I hope it's a lot of fun for you. We'll just get into it. So, Week 5, you know, I was on vacation. We were down in Florida Week 4 when Tennessee played Florida. So I was like trying to follow a lot of games, like walking around Magic Kingdom. But I didn't see a lot from Week 4, but I watched a lot of Week 5. So I watched Mizzou take Georgia to the wire. I watched Mississippi State truck A&M. I definitely watched all of the Kentucky game at Ole Miss. Watched a little bit of the Arkansas-Alabama game, and then watched kind of LSU go on the road and beat Auburn in what I think is an ugly game. And I want to come back to that one because we're going to talk about Tennessee and LSU a little later. So right now, there's pretty much, it looks like only 4 unbeaten teams in the SEC, and like 2 of them everybody would guess, Georgia and Alabama. And the other 2 are Tennessee and Ole Miss. And so, like, I don't know, we're all Tennessee fans, so we follow that the closest. But if you told me like 3 years ago that we'd be undefeated going into Week 5, a top 10 team, I probably would have found it hard to believe just from like how bad we were coming out of the Butch Jones years and like through the Jeremy Pruitt years.
Yeah. I look at the top 25 right now, and you've got in just the top 10, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss. So right there, 40% of the top 10 is SEC. Mm-hmm. You expand that, Kentucky is at 13. And then, I mean, honestly, people aren't talking about Mississippi State, but they're good. They're climbing.
Yeah, they're a very good team.
A lot of people just ignore them historically, but they are much better than they normally are. And of course, LSU, even though they dodged Auburn this last week, they are still a threat for any team that they're playing on any given Saturday. So, you count that up. That's a lot of SEC teams in the top 25. And you can see why a lot of conferences are trying to leave and join the SEC. And, I think that they're going to have to figure out something long-term for that, even though they're expanding the bracket here in 2026 to 12 teams. Like, how do you show that you can get into that? The conference fight is still pretty vicious.
Exactly. Like regardless of the AP rankings, if it's 2 SEC teams, that's the game to watch for the week, because you're going to have a good game regardless of the difference in rankings between the 2 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I was never sold on Kentucky as a top 10 team. Like, I think they coasted way too long on that Florida win in like the second week of the season. Florida beat Utah in a good game that I don't think Utah was prepared for. And Florida went from unranked to like number 12 in the country overnight. And everybody was in love with them. And then Kentucky rolled into town and beat them. And then Kentucky just popped into the top 10. And then they just sat there through 3 weeks of pretty unimpressive, like uninspiring wins over MAC teams and an FCS team. So I still think they're good.
They weren't ready.
Yeah. No. I still think they're good, but like back half of the top 25, I think is pretty like kind of where Kentucky belongs. And Mississippi State, Turner, I'm with you, man. I think they're way better than I know they got beat by LSU. That's still a really good team.
Yeah, I agree. I was so proud.
Go ahead.
They put up a fight. I mean, like, whoa. I realized this week that when given the opportunity to say you beat number one, sometimes you play way better than you really are. And that's what I saw on the field against Georgia last week. Wow. I was impressed.
Yeah, man. I cannot believe, I mean, that game was on nobody's radar. And like, I just kind of turned it on late at night when I saw that Missouri was up, 2 field goals or like whatever the score. I mean, they just kicked field goals the whole game.
Yeah.
I think Missouri got a touchdown at some point in like the first half, but like I turned it on. I was just impressed with like how they were whipping them, dude. Like Missouri's defense was so ready for them.
Touchdown till the fourth quarter. They held them to 3 field goals in the first 3 quarters. I mean, honestly, that would beat them in a national championship game if that was Alabama or Ohio State or whoever. But man, it was a great game. I was ready to drive there for the free beer for 2 hours at some local bar.
I know. I thought it was going to happen there for a minute, but that's what Georgia does. Like, let's just go ahead and talk about this game for a bit. Yeah. So Georgia was number 1. They're now number 2. Let me read you like an interesting stat. And I put this in the article. Mm-hmm. Stetson Bennett threw 43 passes. That's a ton. I mean, that's more than like Hendon Hooker usually throws for. Like you're talking like Will Rogers numbers there in terms of passing. Yet he had more tackles than touchdowns. Like he threw an interception or it was a, deflected pass or something. And then had to tackle the guy like in their own territory. So he had more tackles than touchdowns the entire game. And like you said, they didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter. And it wasn't until like 9 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. And they still trailed Mizzou after that touchdown.
No, all I can think of is they thought, man, we watched Tennessee whip that ass last year. I mean, Tennessee put up 45 in the first half against Missouri last year on the road. So they thought they were going to roll in after watching that game film. And then they had a whole other thing coming. So
yeah. I mean, they outgained Mizzou like 481 yards to 294. Yeah. But like, you wouldn't have known it, until the final score. Like, that was just an incredibly close game. And I give all the credit to Mizzou. Like, they brought a ton of pressure on defense. Like, they were rushing 5 a lot and like getting to Stetson Bennett. And I mean, it worked. And so you can't help but wonder, just like Alabama in week 1 versus Texas, where people thought like, did Texas just show us the blueprint to beat Alabama? You almost have to wonder, did Mizzou just do the same thing to Georgia?
Yeah, I agree. And if Alabama's, main quarterback's out, and I don't know if there's a status update on him or not, but that would definitely change their outcome. I was surprised that they were number 1 if he was going to be out for a while.
Yeah, I've heard differing things on that. I'm not sure that he is. Like, from what I understand, like the injury that he has, you can kind of treat it for pain and play through it.
Okay. So he's going to be back next week.
I think he probably will be able to play next week. I don't know that they'll play him. I mean, do they really need him to beat Texas A&M?
Yeah. I just keep thinking they got to have revenge on Texas A&M for being the one team that beat them last year.
I think they will. I think they will beat A&M. Like,
especially
without issue.
All the concussion protocol conversations after what happened at Tua, like people are not wanting to play people, beyond their ability right now. It's just. But you also, college football, you can't lose 1 or 2 games. I mean, like, let's ask ourselves, if Georgia had lost last weekend to Missouri, how hard would that have affected their chances of getting in the top 4?
I don't, it's hard to see because like I guess you would put, let's see here. I mean, I guess you definitely move Ohio State up ahead of them. And you'd pretty much have, I mean, dude, I think you'd have to move Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson ahead of them. USC, I'm not totally sure. But like, yeah, if they had dropped that game now, I don't think losing to Missouri, like while it would have hurt them in the rankings, they could have still won out the rest of the year and like been in the SEC championship and been in the college.
Well, as a Tennessee fan, the only thing I could think about is that we have to play Georgia head to head, and then we have to get to the SEC championship. So, that means, any type of tie or anything like that, is not ideal. So having a team like Missouri give them a one loss, that is a small edge, but it just gets interesting when you think about two teams or three teams or four teams that could be eating for the big stage. I think Tennessee really needed Missouri to finish that game, unfortunately, but
that's what makes
Kentucky
needs a top three team, though. I mean, when you're down when you're down the whole game and you're not rattled by it in the fourth quarter and you come back and win anyway, that's what happens when you're that good.
They were like not gonna
it's not just Tennessee.
Like they had done so well, and then like the last 8 to 10 minutes, you could just tell something was different. Like Missouri was just losing confidence in their ability to like hold that defensive line.
Yeah, Kentucky wanted them to win too, because I bet Kentucky fans were licking their chops, and they're sitting there thinking like, well, we lost to Ole Miss, but we'll probably beat Missouri, we'll beat South Carolina. I'm sure a lot of Kentucky fans still think they're going to beat Tennessee. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, it's possible, like it could happen, and so they're looking at it. Here's the thing, though: if Missouri could do that to Georgia, Kentucky could potentially do that to Georgia. Florida could potentially do that to Georgia. So there's still some, questions in there about like, is number one in the East really like up for grabs, or are we really still competing for
and
the
just to like
spot?
highlight historically, like SEC East, when's the last time that Missouri, South Carolina, Florida, and Vanderbilt were all 0-2? I mean, or 0-1 in Vanderbilt's case. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Like historically, Florida is way closer to the top of the list in the standings. To see Georgia and Tennessee and Kentucky in the top three, and to know that they're all like top 25 teams, like things are definitely changing over time.
Yeah, and then to see like Auburn kind of at the bottom of the West, and I'd probably even put Auburn in like the South Carolina, Missouri, Vanderbilt category right now. Like they're just like same record, 3-2, but like just really bad conference losses, and they're going to get whipped by Georgia this weekend, most likely. I mean, yeah, it is weird. And I think part of that's the PTSD, like especially we as Tennessee fans have dealt with for like since the Dooley years of like just not believing that we could ever be good again, because we got to go through these 3 or 4 year regimes that just get turned over and, restarted.
It's kind of weird. I seem to have found all of my old UT clothing. I've been wearing like a UT belt this week all week.
That's why we've been kicking ass.
Exactly. It's the mojo, man. Yeah. The mojo. Now Florida was the mojo turning point for me, because I knew that was that was such a spirit breaker for so long. And I think that's why the game was so good last week, was just because for both teams we knew that was maybe the biggest spirit game of the season for both of us. So, I mean, it was kind of, I think it's the only reason why it was even close there at the end.
Yeah. I think we could have lost at Pittsburgh and people would have been fine with it as long as we beat Florida.
We're way better than I started. I had us
Pittsburgh could have been a
win, loss. I thought I had us starting 2-3. So, I mean, we're way better off than I thought we were going to be. I think I'm a little more pessimistic over time, just because I'm just a little more cautious about saying we're going to just come out. Because everybody thinks you're going to kill it every year. You have the recruiting class. And so it's just like, I've got more, grounds of reality here. But I'm proud of us. I think we're playing really well. I think Ole Miss being at 9 and us being at 8 is appropriate. I know I'm a little biased, but their offense.
Mhm.
I mean, they were crushing Georgia Tech a few weeks ago, but in general, when I watch their offense, I don't think that they're just a ton better than us offensively, and defensively, I don't think that they're much better than we are. So it'd be a close game, but I think we would do better this year than we did last year against them.
I agree with you about the offense. I actually think their defense is way better than ours. I think they have like one of the better defenses in the country. I think statistically they have a top 10 defense. Like they're pretty stout in that area, and that's why they gave Kentucky fits. Like they're really good in tackles for loss and sacks. I mean, they gave Will Levis a lot of hell in that game. Yeah, Will Levis, the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Like, been hearing about it for 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know. Oh, we got the fourth horseman.
Da-da-da-da-da. What's up?
What's up, my brothers?
David's joining us.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it took a little bit longer than I expected.
Welcome to the
No
party.
worries. You're jumping in at the perfect time. So since we got the whole band here, let me introduce everybody. I'm
Okay.
Ben Warren, a.k.a. Ben Jammin'. I'm keeping the beat. We got DJ Turner Burner, or DJ Slaps. He's slapping the bass. We got David Springer, a.k.a. Smooth Operator on the rhythm. Get
Smooth
fiddle.
operator. Exactly.
And we got Gordon, a.k.a. G Love, a.k.a. Shreddy G, Shreddy Mercury, holding down the lead.
And I've been recapping the SEC, David.
No, did we lose him again? Well, it was nice.
No,
while it
I'm here.
lasted.
I'm here. Yeah, no, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to a different room.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll keep it rolling, and you can just jump in like at any time. We're just
All
running through like
Yeah.
Kentucky. Let's just run through the rest of the East real quick, and then we'll move on to the West, and we'll jump in and just start talking about the games this weekend. So Tennessee and Vandy were both on byes. Florida's game got moved to Sunday. They played a pillow fight that they won easily. And then the South Carolina game got bumped up to Thursday because of the hurricane. They won that pretty easily. And then we already talked about Mizzou going down to the wire with Georgia in an awesome game, which I could make another point for why we're not putting like some of the best games in the SEC in primetime time slots. Instead, like we're putting LSU Tennessee at 11 a.m. on Saturday. I mean,
That's bullshit because those are two of the best teams in the entire college football rankings.
It's also bullshit because I've got a 7-year-old soccer game that kicks off at 10:30 a.m. that I have to
I'm
coach.
glad as
Not
the away
quite
team,
there
the
yet,
visitor
Gordon,
team,
but yeah,
like
I feel your
I'm
pain.
glad that game is not at 7 o'clock. I mean, you do not want to play a night game.
You don't want to go to
Unless
Death
it's the
Valley at night.
2005,
Yeah.
and they
no,
came back
but
and
a
won
2:30 would be.
by 3. We all remember that.
Yeah. The CBS game of the week would be fantastic, but
Yeah.
11 a.m. Central Time sets up well for Tennessee.
Yeah, it does. They're a morning practice team, so like they'll be up and ready to go. You're right. I mean, we definitely don't want to play that game at night. The Cajuns don't even get out of bed until like afternoon, right, David?
Oh, and I grew up down there, man. Like I know what the tailgates are down there. Yeah, it gets saucy.
Yeah.
I was about to say their first drink won't be till the second quarter because
Oh no, their first drink will be at 7:30 a.m.
right before they go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, so in the West, what do y'all think about the AP voters moving Alabama to number 1 over Georgia? I mean, Georgia still won the game.
Georgia definitely struggled. They showed some holes in their defense and offense. Georgia's still number 1. Alabama, with their quarterback being hurt, I think, it's still Georgia. I don't think Alabama should be number 1.
I agree with you there.
I think they just waited so heavily on Stetson and he kind of showed some chinks in his armor there in that game, and I think that's entirely the only reason why they bumped him back to 2.
Did y'all see this tweet that I posted in the chat? This is the Alabama football tweet, like from the Alabama official football account on Twitter. They posted this win poster. If you can click that link and view this picture, do it. Yeah, but so y'all.
Oh my god!
They knocked KJ Jefferson, Arkansas's quarterback, out in this game, and the photo they use for this win poster is them standing over the unconscious body of Arkansas's concussed quarterback.
That's like,
I know. I was thinking
that's like other teams posting over Tua.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Like, that's not okay. Yeah, that's
like
no, people are tweeting. This is.
I saw this to believe this is legit. This has got to be some.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know what prompted it, but people are retweeting this Barstool Hogs account who said, I take pride in knowing we were the team who injured Bryce Young. But the thing is, like, the Barstool, that's not an official, like, University of Arkansas account. This is the Alabama football account. It has 1.1 million followers, and their victory poster is them holding up the number 1 finger over like the bent knees, passed out body of the quarterback that they can cut. It's simultaneously ice cold. I mean, it's a little funny, but it also makes me feel bad.
No, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Alabama's Twitter is run by.
They got to keep it clean.
Yeah, Alabama's Twitter is run by Reddit college football. Like trolls. That's pretty bad.
So I
mean, I think most of those accounts.
Is David going for LSU or Tennessee?
Yeah, I just saw that earlier. Like,
oh, okay. Sorry, I mean to cut you off.
Tennessee this weekend. No,
are y'all putting money on the game?
So living in a state where we can bet, I am definitely a fan of betting. So yes, I will be putting money on the game.
All right. So since we're on that, let's just jump in and talk about it. Let's go ahead and talk Tennessee LSU. So I'm reading that like Tennessee, this was at the time I kind of wrote all this out. It may have changed a little bit, but 2.5 point favorite on the road.
Oh, I saw 3, but 2.5 makes sense. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just got
I'm reading like
Japan,
this.
So I'm still working, but yeah.
So like I'm looking at a -2.5 line, and then I'm also hearing people predict Tennessee to win by 2 scores. So I'm just wondering like what Vegas is seeing that maybe I'm not seeing, because I think this is going to be a close game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout.
It's absolutely going to be close. There's no way Tennessee's going to win by more than 2 scores. Brian Kelly has LSU functioning high level. Yeah, no, there's no way. Tennessee's going to win, but they're going to win by a field goal.
Yeah, that's kind of where I see it.
Yeah,
like 3 points, a field goal makes total sense to me.
DraftKings right now. But historically, as a Tennessee fan, like you have a season like this, and this is the time where you show up and don't do well. So. We came off of a bye week, so it's so important that we're rested. And LSU just went on the road to Auburn, and they almost lost. They were definitely clawing back the whole time. I know, yeah. So I'm hoping that we come in fresh. I don't know where we are with Cedric Tillman, and if he's going to be able to play. Yeah, he's got a high ankle sprain, so that could be.
I highly doubt it.
See, the difference is the good thing that Tennessee has working for them on this game is that they had a week to cool down from the Florida victory. So they're going to calm down. They're going to get back to work, get back to business. I'm very happy with this very early bye week.
I kind of am too, especially right before LSU and then Bama. I think it came at a really great
home game. Bama home game, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so A&M.
Bama and A&M, yeah.
Feels good.
Gordon, why aren't you on camera?
I don't have a camera.
No,
Also, I'm
He
naked,
does.
so I'm
Don't be a
completely
bitch.
naked. Sorry.
I
Well,
mean,
the
you
thing
act like
about
it's something I
LSU
haven't seen before.
Well, you haven't Venmo'd me in a while, so there's that. But the thing about
There is
LSU
that,
is
yeah.
like any of these teams that are contenders in the SEC, they have all had the same fights year after year. So you can't count any of them out except for South Carolina because they're trash. But you can't count any of the other teams out.
You're a fucking homer. Stop being a homer.
I'm just, they kind of are this year. My dad can be mad at me for whatever. But
What, you're going to be Beamer ball? Ball? Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I'm out on. I've been down on South Carolina. I never bought into the Spencer Rattler hype. I was never on that train. They have not looked good. I think a lot of people were hyping them up.
Podcast, swallowed the cocks. Yeah, no.
Swallowed the cocks. Well, let's jump back to Tennessee LSU real quick. So I don't know. So Brian Kelly in a press conference, like when he was asked about Tennessee's offense, because let's face it, like we can, LSU is very talented. I know that they're well coached and they have a lot of really solid players, but they have not faced tempo. And a lot of people make comparisons between Tennessee and Mississippi State. They're two very different offenses. They are not the same offense. And Tennessee runs a lot faster than Mississippi State. So it's not the same thing. But this is what Brian Kelly said. I'll just read it to you since I can't play the video. He said, so in one instance, they can't do a lot of things either, right? So if they're going to snap the ball with 20 seconds on the clock, there's not a lot of motion, not a lot of changing formations. They've got to line up left and right too. So to play fast allows you to, obviously a pretty clean look at what you're getting. Dude, I listen to him say this and I totally read it agree. And it makes me feel like he has not watched any film of Tennessee. Like, it gets it so wrong. And if I'm an LSU fan, this makes me nervous as hell because he's saying there's not a lot of motion and not a lot of formations. That is completely wrong.
Within 10 seconds of the ball.
Yes.
Well, and also you were mentioning that they're playing Mississippi State, right? Like,
yeah,
you don't take Mike Leach softly. He always shows up to play. So,
well, I mean, yeah, they did.
To not take
LSU,
Mike Leach. Yeah.
I mean, LSU beat them. Like Mississippi State kind of had control of that game, and LSU, I think, forced some turnovers and kind of changed the momentum. But they're just very different offenses. Like people kind of describe Tennessee as an air raid offense, but it's not. Like Tennessee's offense is a numbers offense. They want to run the ball. The thing is, what they want to do is they want to run, get a first down, and then hit you over the top deep. Like that's what Tennessee wants to do. And so they spread you out and they force your defense to pick, are you going to defend the run or the pass? And if you defend the run, then they're going to pass. And if you defend the pass, then they're going to run on you. So like Brian Kelly, he kind of gets it wrong because the tempo is the whole, like it's the cog that makes that style of offense work. No, like there's not like a ton of plays that they run, but like it doesn't give your defense time to really communicate or line up or substitute. So I don't know, just reading that comment, I can't help but wonder, like, are they even preparing the right way for Tennessee?
Brian Kelly's going to be prepared. Brian Kelly's going to show up to play. The first game against Florida State, they didn't show up.
Yeah.
It was the first game of the season. What are they, 3-0 after that? Like they've won the last 3 games. LSU is going to show up to play. Luckily for Tennessee, it is a 11 a.m. start time. The Cajuns aren't going to get drunk. It's going to be rowdy, obviously, but it's not going to be as rowdy. Tennessee is going to win this game by a field goal.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
If it was a night game, then I would say LSU all day, but yeah, no. LSU still gets the rap for the first game of the season against Florida State. And now what's being done after that?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen there about a few things I noticed on ESPN. Even though the spread in Vegas has us, they have a predictor of 58% for LSU as the home team. But looking at some of their statistics, we definitely outshine them in total passing. We're pretty even in rushing, but in terms of like yards allowed, we do a little bit better than them. Passing yards allowed, not so hot compared to them. So that could be a clash.
Well, Tennessee's defense is going
I agree with you so much right there. Our defense
Tennessee
really
can actually
controls whether we win or lose, in my opinion. We're always going to score points. It's can we keep them from scoring points?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the highest
definitely.
ranking scoring team in the whole SEC right now, but we can't tackle or shit. So if they take the Florida game,
special teams,
and they actually do some lessons learned,
snatch the ball like that. Oh my gosh! I still will say that's one of the greatest onside kick recoveries I've ever seen. That was one of the most athletic plays I've ever seen. He just snatched it right out of the air. I was so glad he couldn't return it in that moment.
I definitely set up about 3 inches higher after I was clinching during that one.
Yeah, I was getting on the Haunted Mansion ride at Magic Kingdom, listening, like reading y'all's texts that it's over, and then I'm watching the game cast and I see that they recovered this onside kick, and I'm like, y'all assholes just had to say that it was over.
The hopium, just like boom, this is how we lose right here. Yeah, I definitely.
It never ends at Florida. It's never over with Florida.
When they
it's still
said
going
we were going to win by 10 and a half, I was like, no way. This rivalry is way closer
that's
than
never
that.
going to get out of our memory.
And I just didn't think we were that much better than them in terms of like wanting it.
Yeah. So I want to talk really quickly, and we can kind of start to wrap this portion up. Leaving Tennessee, LSU, I want to go back to like what's going on at Texas A&M now, because like they go to Tuscaloosa this weekend to play Bama. We know what happened last year. Like they got the win in College Station at Kyle Field, the upset over Bama. Jimbo Fisher got the miraculous contract extension that makes his buyout $95 million. They've spent tens of millions of dollars on NIL deals for recruits, whether he'll admit it or not. Like everybody knows that's what's happened. And they've been pulling in these recruiting classes now for 3 years. So why do they still suck?
Morale is just
let me ask you this.
Like morale is terrible right now.
If Tennessee didn't have Heupel, would you like to have Fisher? 100% you would.
If you asked me that 4 years ago,
Heupel,
I would say absolutely.
You got to go the Pruitt era. You got Butch Jones era. Yeah. So you take Fisher over him, and so Heupel is going to turn the team around. But yeah, no, you would.
Let me ask you this:
you would take him in a heartbeat.
Let me ask you this: would you rather have Heupel right now in year 2 or Jimbo Fisher?
So that's I would rather have Heupel because of
So what does that say?
Because Heupel's a general and Fisher is not. Like, I mean, he's not controlling his team. The things that have happened off the field for A&M, the things that have happened off the field for A&M don't happen in really good teams. They don't happen in Saban's team. They don't happen, in places that are dynasties. It's been kind of embarrassing kind of for A&M this entire season, really.
But Ben, I'll take your question and I'll reverse it back 3 or 4 years ago. Would you take Heupel at Central Florida, or would you take Fisher at Florida State? You would take Fisher all day long.
No, yeah, absolutely. I would have taken Fisher. It's just amazing that like how much better the resources and the money and the talent and the recruiting are at A&M, and he's performed worse than he did at Florida State.
Oh no, I was 100% skeptical about Heupel's hire. I was skeptical whenever they fired Fulmer as the AD, but it was the right decision. And getting it took me a while. It took me a year to learn how to pronounce Heupel's name, but I'm on board, man. I'm the Heupel. Yeah, let's go. I'm on the hype train, 100%.
Yeah, I think we all are for sure. I don't know how much like A&M y'all have watched, but if you get a chance to watch any of the A&M Alabama game, watch it. I mean, their defense is really solid. I think they have a lot of talent and a really solid defensive squad, but their offense is painful, man. Like it's so bad. It takes me back to the Garantano years at UT. But y'all know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, stop that.
Dude, it's so bad. And I don't know what's worse, like watching them play offense or listening to Jimbo Fisher talk about it, because every press conference he's done after a game and he comes out and explains to like his media panel, like his own reporters, why they lost. It's the most unintelligible, like unsalient, incoherent garbage I've ever heard. He's just like, we came out, we got to play better, got to coach better, they got to do better. It's like, dude, you're being paid $95 million and like you need to string together a legitimate thought about why you're not winning on the field. Dude, last game, I put this video in the article. He literally gives a play-by-play of the drive summary to the reporters whose job it is to already know the drive summary. He's like, well, they went down and, scored and we got the ball. Then we went down and, we had to punt and then they got the ball and then they came back down and they got the ball. Then we kicked it and then got the ball back. And he does this for like 2 minutes. And I'm just like, dude, $95 million. This is what we're getting, or this is what they're getting.
Do you think he would take Johnny Manziel back for a year if he had a year eligibility?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what choice does he have?
I mean, Johnny Football would be come back for a senior year. Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if y'all have heard this, but like statistically, the best quarterback that he ever had at A&M, he didn't even recruit. It was the quarterback that was there when he got there. And that was one of the whole reasons why they hired him at A&M, was like he was a quarterback guy and he was an offensive guy. And like that's the worst part of their entire game.
Well, it's the whole reason why Tennessee should have had Trevor Lawrence too. I mean, and then Butch Jones fucked that all up for us.
Butch Jones fucked a lot of things up. Butch Jones made a lot of promises that he couldn't keep to a lot of
break baby.
That's what we are.
Yeah.
What was it Dooley that was the shower guy? So
oh yeah, we talked about that when we first got on. Yeah, 2010, I'll never forget it. Taught them how to put soap on a rag, wash their whole ass.
Soap on a rag.
All right. So let's look at the games coming up this weekend, and then we'll wrap it up, and we can just kind of stay on and shoot the breeze. So starting with the noon games, we've already talked Tennessee, LSU. My other game of the week is Arkansas at Mississippi State. I know Arkansas got blown out by Bama, and as good as Mississippi State is, I actually think this is a game that like Arkansas could win. I don't know that they're going to win, and I'm not picking them to win. But it's the only other game to me besides Tennessee LSU that I think is going to be remotely interesting. Yeah,
I'm right there with you. Mississippi State. Mike Leach, the Pirate. Yeah, he's gonna find a way.
Yeah, I think Arkansas is definitely feeling it from
their offense is too
last
good,
week.
man.
I think they're just going to be dazed and confused, and I think they're going to walk into this game thinking it's not going to be what it's going to be. So.
Yeah. All right. Next, Missouri at Florida. I don't think Mizzou is going to be able to repeat what they did versus UGA. Plus, they're going on the road.
Yeah. Mizzou's terrible. That was a fuck up by UGA. Sorry for cussing. No, Florida, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking Florida by at least 10, like at least 2 scores.
Yeah, I
At
mean, that
least,
definitely
yeah.
makes sense. We'll see. I
Third
mean,
that.
we may have missed something with Missouri, but it definitely feels like definitely feels like Florida definitely should win by at least 10.
No, you didn't
so.
miss anything with Missouri. Missouri's terrible.
All right, next up, Auburn at number 2, Georgia, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Yeah, this is an oof.
Kirby Smart's going to fix all of his mess ups. He's Georgia by double digits.
Oh yeah.
I predict I will check
kind of
on the
feel
score every 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes.
I will watch the first quarter of that game, and then I will know the ending.
I kind of feel that 3 touchdowns is too conservative.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, next up, Ole Miss, newly crowned number 9, Ole Miss going on the road to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt home field advantage is not a thing. That's not a thing at all.
Hey, downtown Nashville's amazing. All right, so I'm not going to be a hater, but it's not a thing, though. You're right.
Nashville is the coolest college town that has the shittiest SEC team. Like, if you put any other team in Nashville, they would be so awesome. But it's Vandy.
Earlier in the year, it kind of cocked my head. I was like, ooh, okay.
Well, whenever Vandy had James Franklin, they were turning into something than what Penn State got him. So, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, James Franklin took advantage. Yeah, well, James Franklin also took advantage of some really down years among other SEC East teams. Like that was when Tennessee was down. It was when Florida was.
It's still the SEC, Ben.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But I don't think
I will take it down Florida and down Tennessee over, a Purdue or another like a Big Ten team. So
for sure. Anyway, I think we're all in agreement. Ole Miss should win this one easily. Yeah. All right. We got South Carolina going to Kentucky. I thought Kentucky was a little bit overrated. And they got taken down.
I'd love to hear Gordon.
They're going to show their true colors. South Carolina's going to win this game.
Oh, I'm not...
Yeah, no.
Kentucky's going to Kentucky. Kentucky's going to win this game. Kentucky's going to Kentucky, and South Carolina's going to. If they don't win, they're going to lose only by 3 points.
I don't know. One of the teams is going to shit the bed because that's just what they both do. So
Kentucky's going to Kentucky.
I just assume that Carolina's going to shit the bed harder.
They're going to get the Spurrier mentality. South Carolina's going to get the Spurrier mentality, and they're going to play, and they're going to play to win. Yeah, it's going to be South Carolina.
Shane Beamer is going to stay up way too late. No, he's going to stay up way too late Friday night watching reruns of Impractical Jokers. And he's not going to be up and ready for this game. I think Kentucky wins. I think Kentucky should win this one easily, but they have kind of slacked off against some inferior opponents. So it wouldn't surprise me to see South Carolina stay in this game, but I can't in good conscience pick
Florida on the road.
South Carolina's going to win this game.
Yeah, they put up a hell of a fight against Ole Miss on the road. So I think they can definitely take down South Carolina on the road.
South Carolina is still embarrassed for being dominated by Georgia, and everyone's saying that they might put up a fight, which is completely bullshit.
All right, our last game on the slate: Texas A&M at number 1 Alabama. I don't think it matters if Bryce Young plays. I don't think they need Bryce Young to play, and if I were them, I wouldn't even bother playing Bryce Young. Their backup quarterback looked awesome versus
Alabama
Arkansas.
Just reload.
Dude,
yeah, Alabama's good.
It's insane.
It's going to be a domination. They're going to put Jimbo Fisher. They're going to embarrass him.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way
with a backup. Yeah,
I don't think there's any way that Jimbo Fisher's job is threatened at all. I'm not I don't even want to go there or suggest it. They're not going to buy him out for that amount of money. Nothing like that. But I think this game, I think Alabama's going to beat them so hard. It makes everybody in and around the Texas A&M orbit question how long Jimbo Fisher is going to be there.
Alabama's coming
Yeah,
into
and
this
we have
game
to remember
pissed,
that
and they're gonna
last
beat
year
A&M
Texas A&M
like they stole
beat
something.
Alabama when they were playing them on the road, and now Alabama gets to play them at home. So there's double revenge. So yeah,
Exactly.
I think Nick Saban is going to choose what the final score of this game is. He's going to write it on a Post-it note, and he's going to give it to Jimbo Fisher. And Jimbo Fisher's just going to say, well, yeah, okay.
That's a decent impression.
I've been working on it. All right, boys. Well, that's all I got on the slate. This is a really good conversation. I'll go ahead and close us out here. For all of you listening, however you might be chugging your podcast, thank you so much for tuning in to the SEC Recap. Hope you enjoyed the show. Want to bring you more interactive episodes moving forward. Don't forget to like, subscribe, get notified for new episodes each and every week. Follow on Twitter at SEC Recap. Remember, you can support the podcast, support the show, help us keep it ad-free. And as always, it's great to be in the SEC right here on the SEC Recap.